All right, good morning, everybody. I know it's still morning. It is 11:30. Normally I have my Facebook Lives at 9 o'clock. I was actually on a plane at that time, so pushed it to 11, but coming out of Midway, but nonetheless, it's 11:30. Time coffee. Am I drinking coffee? I am drinking coffee. Caught the flight this morning. So I was at the woman conference. So every 2 years, the Women Marine Association has a conference. This year it was Atlanta. In 2 years from now, it'll be in when I'm in Michigan, hopefully Detroit. So I have my travel mug, my WMA travel mug, in which I've been traveling with all weekend long. And I'm still wearing my t-shirt from the conference. So well, I got it at the conference, and certainly it is because a lot of people still don't recognize women veterans. Now, women, honest, there are 1% of the population of veterans. 1%, lowest we've been in I think since World War II. So one are veterans, and 1% of that veterans. So definitely it's quite veterans. More and more are joining, but it's always nice to be able to represent women Marine veterans is less than, of course, that 1% of 1%. So had a great time meeting women veterans from around the nation states, talking to them about issues. Some of them have issues with the VA, talking to them about, benefits and things in their states. So it was really something that I think well worth it, that I can bring to the General Assembly, some legislative ideas coming out. So it was a good event. It was in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, the convention center that much, but was able to see a little bit of some of the sites around Georgia, in Atlanta. So it was fun. But other than that, so back in last week, as you might have seen in my email and my Facebook page, was also the National Conference of States Legislators, NCSL. So I had that at the beginning of the week. Got back on Thursday, boarded a flight for Atlanta Saturday morning. Was there Saturday, Sunday, and just got back on Monday. So it's been a very busy week with that. Then the National Conference of State Legislators is the same. Senators and representatives from around the. I think they said there's like 5,000 attendees, and they were in Louisville, Kentucky, and so that was where it was at this time. And again, great sessions. A lot of it was focused on AI and what states can do to combat artificial intelligence and deception with regards to artificial intelligence. Discussions on policy. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of those things. And then I was also a board member of the Women Legislator Network, president of the Women Legislator Network. Again, it's a network of women legislators that are serving in our state capitals. Nationwide, I think it's between 30 to 40% of women in the capitals, depending on which state you're in, are serving in our elected capacity. So it's good to hear stories and concerns and really compare notes. I'm also with NCAA Military Families and Veterans Task Force. So we looked at a couple of things. I had a presentation about the military and environmental restoration and environmental concerns around the bases and stuff to that effect, but also looked at alternative courts. Now, we do have alternative courts, states do, but some of the things we have alternative courts for mental health, addiction, substance abuse, And we do have a veterans court so that if an individual is a veteran and has a low level offense, some issue with law enforcement, or substance abuse, which can be self-medicating assistance that they have, we can help them with regards to an alternative to jail, get them the help that they need, which isn't always in jail. It's the therapy and that sort of thing. So we already have that in Illinois, but talking to other states, giving some tips with regards to that. And then we give a state update, and Illinois was leading the pack with initiatives from last year to this year. And certainly some other states are going to, some other representatives, veteran representatives from other states are going to reach out because they want to replicate some of the things we've done for veterans here. States such as are looking at property tax relief for their veterans and looking at getting them the benefits, and the Claim Shark legislation to help protect them from people that want benefits. All that are great things that the state of Illinois has done for our veterans, and other states, they want to replicate it. Not opposed to that. I think that's great. So that was my week in review. Pretty busy. I'm told the governor signed all the remaining bills on Friday, so there are no legislation left to be signed. He did not veto any legislation this year, so that's a good thing. Finally, also, if you've been watching, and I know that a lot of people were watching the Olympics while I was at various conferences, but the 2024 Paris Olympics officially closed with the memorable ceremony on Sunday. Just for, if you're keeping score, with 40 gold medals each. However, the U.S. dominated with a total of 126 overall medals, followed by China with 91 and Japan with 20 gold medals, 45 overall. So women's gymnastics, again, just amazing. I think gymnastics, one of the sports I like to watch the most. And but Simone Biles led the U.S. to team gold. Biles, Sunny Lee, Jordan Childs, Jade Carvey, and Hensley Rivera referred to Paris as their redemption tour after taking a silver in Tokyo. So they got it done in the team final, went on to win a combined 7 medals in individual events. Biles' floor routine for the individual all-around was a legacy moment for an athlete who has had many of them. So it's just amazing overall. The men's gymnasts and all those pommel horse and all those it's just amazing. The rings, I just like overall watching such a feat on the Olympic stage. Basketball, U.S. men were Olympic champions. So that was a bit of a nail biter, 98-87, their 5th consecutive gold medal. And it was really a phenomenal game as well. And then women's basketball, again, phenomenal. Track and field, Noah Lyles is the fastest man in the world by 0.005 seconds. So Lyles beat Jamaicans Keshane Thompson in what was the fastest 100-meter final in history. The entire field finished within 0.12 seconds, 0.12 seconds of each other, 12/10 of a second of each other. And this was the first time that all 8 runners finished under the 10-second mark in a wind legal race. So that was just amazing to see that just come together. I mean, the Olympics is just amazing. I watched, the archery. I watched the indoor hockey, which it's not in floorball, I think it's called. Some of the games are from like the 60s, and they're still being played today. And it's very interesting to see the uniqueness of some of these games that have been around that are in. I saw a bit of the breakdancing. and just overall, the basketball was amazing. Again, the gymnasts are all amazing, men and women. And so just congratulations. We had a couple individuals from our area, from Illinois, that are medal winners. I don't seem to have that list in front of me, but I will update that maybe next Monday with our update on the individual Illinois Olympic winners that are coming back home. Certainly that is something that we are very proud of. And I apologize for not having that in front of me today, but I'll get it next Monday. Wednesday, August 14th, just so that you can know, really Navajo Code Talkers Day. So if you are unfamiliar with the Navajo Code Talkers, Wednesday, August 11th, or no, I'm sorry, Wednesday, August 14th is Navajo Code Talkers Day. National Navajo Code Talkers Day. What is this? The Code Talkers were members of the U.S. Marine Corps, of course, I know this story, who used their Navajo language to send secret messages over military radio, transferring vital battlefield information. So we need to honor the Navajo Code Watchers, Code Talkers. They use their skill to aid the U.S. So certainly we need to make sure that we can honor them. Is that codes, and so it was just phenomenal that the Navajo language was such a secret communication, and it was so difficult to crack this code. And so it was just we really 100 Native Americans in the United States, and they were in the Marine Corps, and they were transmitting the tactical messages that were helping us out. And so the Code Talkers, they improved the speed of encryption and decryption and communications to the front line. And they are credited for some really amazing, decisive victories. And their code was never broken by. So believe it or not, there were two code types used during World War II. Type 1 codes were language of the Mesawaki and the Navajo peoples. So they used words from their language alphabet, and the messages could be encoded and decoded by using a simple substitution cipher, where the ciphertext was the native language word. So type 2 code was informal and directly translated from English into language. Code Talkers use short descriptive phrases if there is no corresponding word in the indigenous language for the military word. For example, the Navajo did not have a word for submarine, and they translated in as iron fish, which I think is really just amazing. So the Code Talker phrase was originally coined by the United States Marine Corps and used to identify individuals with special training required to qualify as Code Talkers. Their service record indicates as their specialty, which is Code Talker, and that was their duty. So today, still strongly associated with the bilingual Navajo speakers trained in the Navajo Code during the World War II by the Marine Corps to serve in all 6 divisions Raiders of the Pacific Theater. It's just really interesting, I thought, and actually Native American communicators really predate World War II. Native American based communications used by the U.S. military do include Cherokee, Lakota peoples during the World War I. So World War One did use some of that as well. And it just really, really interesting. The communicators, now referred to as code talkers, and they were deployed by the United States Army. Again, just the Marines, but also the Army, and they include Lakota, Mesawaki, Mohawk, Comanche, Digit, Hopi, Cree, and Crow soldiers, and they served in the Pacific, North American, and European theaters. So a little bit of history today about our code talker, military veterans, who really truly were integral to our successes in World War II, and also helped out in World War I a little bit. Also on Friday, August 16th, is National Airborne Day. So in August 16th, 1948, volunteer members of the U.S. Army Parachute Test Platoon performed the first official U.S. military parachute jump at Fort Benning. My good friend, Colonel De Liberté, always an airborne guy. So this is for him. August 16th is the date to celebrate as National Airborne Day to honor the U.S. Airborne Forces. So after the first jump, a large force of more than 100,000 paratroopers was formed and assigned to the 11th, 13th, 17th, 82nd, and 101st. They fought in every theater during World War II, and that's according to the Department of Defense. The parachutes were an innovative technique, enabling them to deploy troops behind enemy lines. Parachute assaults were key to the U.S. military success in the battles of Sicily, Salero, and D-Day. During the operation in 1944, the airborne forces secured all of their objectives. So just to give you a little bit more context, a little bit of history. So the successes of the airborne divisions in World War II, the United States military continued to develop this means of enveloping, you can say, the enemy from above, grew into Ranger Special Forces units in the Army, airborne organizations in the Air Force, Marine Corps Recon, and those individuals, and also in the Navy. That made combat jumps in Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Afghanistan, and Iraq. And there are a number of our veterans who are serving in airborne units when they were injured. So certainly we need to make sure that we take care of them, and that we have been taking care of them. In 2002, President George W. Bush proclaimed August 16th to be National Airborne Day, and he is quoted as stating, "Airborne combat continues to be driven by the spirit of sky soldiers, often called into action with little notice. The reputation for dedication, excellence, and honor. And as we face the challenges of a new era, I encourage all people to recognize the contributions of these courageous soldiers to our nation." So full disclosure, I am not an airborne ranger, but I have jumped out of a perfectly good airplane a couple of times. It is kind of really fun. So just so that you guys know, go airborne, Colonel De Liberté. So we got to notice Kane County has a blue second from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Kane County Government Center. The American Red Cross, a emergency blood shortage. The national blood supply is down over 20. So if you can't make the blood drive on August 22nd, you can certainly visit the blood bank here, Versi, and donate anytime you can. You can also call the Red Cross directly. Go to redcrossblood.org as well to get resources on where you can donate blood. I am O negative. It's fairly rare, and so I try to donate every time I can. I think the last time I donated red blood cells, not blood. So they put it through the machine, and I believe took out the red blood cells and put back in what was left over. So it was really an interesting procedure, but definitely call go to redcrossblood.org or call. We have in Aurora, we have a blood center as well. So certainly that's extremely, extremely important. Now, this is just kind of a save the date. A couple things. We have the American golf outing is coming up September 5th. That's the Aurora American Legion partnered with the Naperville American Legion. September 5th. You can go on post84.com and get all up. Certainly signing up a lot of golfers. And in partnering with the Naperville American Legion, you know, we need to all work together for our veterans. And so all you can do to help out September 5th, it's going to be a great time. There's a lot of great raffle prizes. I've been looking at the list. I can't right now, but it really, the list of raffle prizes is really cool. Signed Cubs baseball. I was talking to an individual from the Navy Blue Angels over the we just had the Air and Water show as well, and talking to an individual with the Blue Angels Foundation, going to try to get a poster that's signed by all the Blue Angels to raffle off, and a couple other really great things. Again, go to post84.com. Registration's at 8:30. Golf is at 10. It should be done fairly early in the afternoon, and you're supporting veterans not only in Aurora but Naperville as well. So it's a great event. Again, post84.com. So certainly we want to make sure that we support all our organizations here in Aurora. And then just looking at my screen, Roger's on. Roger, glad I am back home. Oh yes, and if I didn't mention it before, my daughter got married to time boyfriend in a couple weeks ago. Roger gave congratulations as being a new mother-in-law. So that's a new title I get to put onto my resume, I guess. But they've been together 3.5 years. Austin is part of the Illinois National Guard and will be deploying overseas for a year in September. We're going to, of course, try to support him as well. And when he's over there, he's going to be over there for about a year. So, and my son is still floating out in the middle of the Pacific somewhere. Not sure exactly where he's going either. So, from the home front. Thanks, Roger. Thanks for tuning in. Save the date. I went to this last year. It's Pouring for Pink breast cancer benefit concert. It's October 12th, so it's a bit in the future at venue 1012 in Oswego, 2 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. A bunch of good music, drinks, food, silent auction, and it's cancer beneficiaries. 10% of the net ticket, and all the wine sales benefit the organizations that provide tremendous support for breast cancer treatment, including Waterford Place, the Edward Foundation, and American Cancer Society. So Waterford Place is right here at Rush Copley, and it's an amazing place. I've heard really great stuff. That's in our district. And the other groups, of course, the American Cancer Society, the Edward Foundation do great jobs as well. So October 12th, I'll probably talk about that a little bit more going forward. But tuning back to September, because it's right in our backyard already. It's like pretty soon. So September, again, is our Kid Expo. That is Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's, of course, Family Aquatic Center parking lot. Everybody's welcome. Certainly come and have fun and enjoy the touch a truck, the food truck, all the vendors and the activities, the kids' activities that show up. Bring kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, even the neighbor kids if you want. It's open to everybody, and it's going to be a great. Now, as I said in the beginning, all the bills have been signed. 265 bills were left on Friday. Some of the topics are ranging from, like I talked about, NCSA, digital driver's licenses. Now, this was a great thing. Everybody has everything on their phone. You can just pull it up. You can, I just got off the airport. I can scan my boarding pass on my phone. Everything's on their phone. So we passed legislation to allow your driver's license to be digital on your phone. So I think that's really, the next natural step in terms of technology, in terms of the state of Illinois, and really doing a great thing. So honestly, we're just moving forward in Illinois, and that's a wonderful thing. We talked again about Claim Sharks. It was signed into law August 6th, which is the Claim Shark legislation holding those that offer veteran military benefits to the higher standard and prevent exploitation. We just expanded deceptive practices by expanding the military benefits services because we do a lot for veterans for free, and people will persuade veterans to give up large percentages of their benefits that they earned for consultation services that they don't need to pay for. So they need to be informed both orally and ability for free services, and it is effective January 1, 2025. We did sign the language equity law. 24% of residents don't speak English. Now, that doesn't mean that, although Spanish is the most common, other dialects and languages being spoken in the state of Illinois. Polish, Chinese, and believe it or not, Tagalog are the most spoken languages in the Spanish. So what we're looking at is access for people who don't speak English as their first language to be able to, engage and understand what's going on with state agencies and with the state of Illinois, with all of it. And so accessibility for people who don't speak English is important. So they're supposed to know it. So we passed that law as well. We expanded reproductive health care protection so that holistically all reproductive health care decisions can be made with to the best of their ability. It really, the government doesn't need to insert themselves with regards to medical procedures directly, reproductive health decisions. And we have seen where we're just dire consequences. There is a state that has really restricted access to reproductive health, and they've seen a significant uptick in infant mortality, infants dying, mothers dying, because the discussion always centers upon determination of a pregnancy when we're talking about reproductive health. There are a lot of other facets to reproductive health care that are not being taken care of. So in Illinois, we have a full package and full support for reproductive health care, which includes termination of pregnancy and allows patients to work with their doctors for the best choice that they need to do. We have a new law that gives ID cards to citizens leaving correctional facilities. As you know, having a identification card is important, and individuals that have finished their sentence, so they did their time, gives them an identification card so that if they need to have some sort of documentation when they're transitioning out of the correctional facility, that they can do that. We can verify their social security number and really help them out getting back on their feet after they did their court sentence time. So certainly that's something to help out as well. We changed our Biometric Information Privacy Act to kind of narrowly define a couple things so that it was a little bit, laws were holding that the violations were each time employees like were scanned, for example, the ruling in the White Castle, and be like upon the occurrence of the person, not each time the employees got scanned. So we just kind of reined it in a little bit, just to make sure that it was a little bit more reasonable. So with biometric data, which is face scanning, fingerprint, and the like. 2026, January 2026, the statewide grocery tax will be a limit. So it's a statewide 1% on grocery tax. It's going to be eliminated 2026. That was signed into law. It allows municipal governments, not the whole state, the municipal collect the grocery tax as they choose. Counties and municipalities can levy their own 1% grocery taxes by passing an ordinance. And so get involved with your local towns and counties with regards to a tax on grocery taxes, but the state is not going to do it anymore. So we've eliminated that tax. And then we are working with the Inspector General to conduct unannounced site visits at state-run facilities serving individuals with developmental or mental disabilities. So we had to pass a law to give them that authority so that they can investigate allegations and minimize any obstruction to the investigation if individuals are trying to cover things up. So these will be allowed unannounced visits. Also, a bill requires state regulated group to group health insurance diagnostic treatment of infertility starting in 2026. So infertility, it affects a lot of people, and they should have access to those options, such as also plans to cover annual menopause health visits for those 45 and older. And then we also passed a bill to require insurance plans to cover wigs for individuals who are losing their hair, alopecia, or undergoing chemotherapy to help them out. And then the Senate passed a bill to allow mindfulness in classrooms. So provide students with at least 20 minutes of relaxation activities like yoga, meditation each week. And, just things to relax. We see a lot of anxiety in kids today. Give them practices such as deep breathing exercises, stretching, and helping them out to relax. We also passed a pilot program that has given nearly $2 million to local farms to become permanent after we passed the Senate 77. So it was a local pilot program. It was successful. We're becoming it permanent. Creates a special fund in the Department of Ag to administer the local food infrastructure grant program. It goes to small farms for things like food processing and cold storage. Any amount from $1,000 to $75,000 for individual projects, and collaborative projects can get up to $250,000 to support our small family farms. And then we passed a law. Again, we have to pass laws for this stuff to make it a and I know you've been behind this before. I know I've been behind this. When you're on the expressway and there is a garbage truck that is not covered, and there's a lot of stuff flying out of the back of that truck. So now it's a violation, and law enforcement can cite when the garbage or other debris falls from a truck and litters all over the highway. It's not a very high ticket cost, $150 for each infraction, but we had to pass a law to ensure that, they really, truly cover up that stuff. So, just I know we're coming to the end of summer, but in 2023, about 20 children in Illinois lost their lives to accidental drowning. We've talked about this before. Bears repeating, have to do it again. In a pool, 4 in a bathtub, 4 in a lake, 2 in ponds, 1 at a water park, and believe it or not, 1 in a washing machine. I don't know the situation with regard to that, but I guess check your washing machine if you have small children that like to climb in it and play in the washing machine. As a child, I we used to hide and seek in the dryer, not the washing machine, but certainly it's something that kids do, especially when you have front loader washers and dryers. So just keep an eye on your kids, especially when there's water involved. Washing machines, water parks, pools, bathtubs, lakes, ponds, the like. No matter their age or how well they can swim, kids can still get in a little trouble in water. So certainly, again, keep an eye on them. Don't think because they're just wearing a floaty that they're fine. Those things are not always fine. They're good, but they're not. They're naturally drawn to water. They love water. They love having fun. Do not leave them unattended. And then certainly we are looking at $37 million for non-congregate shelter development. So the Illinois Housing Development Authority is beginning to accept application for the development of emergency shelter for persons experiencing homelessness. So it's ARP, non-congregate shelter development program. Funding will support experienced shelter providers as they acquire or develop non-congregate shelter facilities in Illinois. So this is part of our initiative to eliminate homelessness. So non-congregate shelters refer to for privacy to individuals and families, provide private units or rooms as temporary shelter, and do not require occupants to sign an occupancy agreement. So that is available at homearp@ihda.org. So that's, and then also the Housing Development Authority is looking for funding for permanent supportive housing. So there are applications available for that as well. Again, the state of Illinois is working very hard to reduce and hopefully eliminate homelessness in the state of Illinois. Nonprofit, for-profit, and joint venture developers are eligible to apply from the PSH development program. The application process is competitive. Another email, fshrfa@ihda.org. So that's, I think, very, very exciting that we're working to combat homelessness, not only homeless veterans, but homeless overall and homeless families. It's very, it's very hard towards that. So one of the things that I know my office has looked into and worked into is the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulation. They do the licensing for individuals, anywhere from haircuts to social workers, you name it, that needs a license. So they've been struggling for a long time to get their act together, and they just made an announcement that they believe that they are now finally getting their act together. They announced an agreement with a new professional licensing system for individuals. It's approximately a $9 million investment over the next 3 years. They are partnering with a company called NIC Licensing Solution LLC, and they're going to implement a new online system. Now, you want to say, why is everything messed up? I got to tell you, because the state of Illinois has not updated their computer systems, I kid you not, for the last 20 some years. When I was in college, and all those languages were the norm. It's not the same now. And so taking a mainframe computer that is DOS centric and data driven into where we are today is very difficult, and transporting all that data is very difficult. So it's not entirely on the shoulders of this administration and this Department of IDFPR. It's really neglect. When you look at infrastructure, it's really neglect of our technological infrastructure when we focus on, brick and mortar. So the new system will hopefully bring the state of Illinois into the fold as a national leader in licensing state-of-the-art technology for professionals looking to make the career in Illinois. As you know, Spouses of military veterans should be expedited. It's been very frustrating. We now have some temporary license this will really help out with all that stuff and get these legislators happen. So licensees will be notified electronically when applications are received, renewed, reviewed, and issued by the department. IDFPR will immediately begin implementation of the new solution, and all departmental licensees will be transitioned to the new system in 6 phases. So fingers crossed this works. We have over 1.2 million professionals in Illinois that require licensing, 120 different professions, and over 300 license types. So all I have to do is say, fingers crossed that this works. And then we passed a law working with Treasurer Frericks to allow any leftover college saving funds can be rolled over for retirement. So parents who don't use all the money in the 529 college savings plans that they had set up for their kids, they can now roll that tax and penalty to college saving plans to Roth IRAs. So it did take effect January 1, 2024, just trying to spread the word that is something. Talk to your financial advisor about that, but you can roll that over. And then one of the things I think I've talked about before, but that Illinois put in a waiver to expand Medicaid to non-medical services. I believe we talked about this before, but allowing people to get some help, which includes housing, nutritional assistance, violence prevention services, and services to help individuals transfer out of incarceration, along with some of the other things, employment assistance, community reintegration, and some mental health. So certainly working with the Medicaid population to help them out as well. So, and of course, food, I mean, I think a lot of people don't really, you want to say everybody knows what good food is, but I think a lot of people don't understand the effects of bad food, like the effects of eating things that aren't as healthy, that are heavily processed, laden with high fructose corn syrup and sugars and salts and all that. So I think nutritional health is really important, and to be able to help that Medicaid population, I think is really going to be really important, along with when we're looking at a wide range of services for those for mental health, such as psychotherapy, grief counseling, mindfulness, relaxation, art therapy, life skills training, and crisis intervention. Some of these are already offered as well in the VA, art therapy and these treatments. So we are expanding it to the Medicaid population that we can certainly really help out with regards to that. And then case managers to help individuals to assess physical, behavioral, health-related social needs with any prescription meds that might be needed. So I think it's really thoughtful, forward-looking to get, and as you know, this is important. Well, you might not know. This is important because Medicaid reimburses the state 50 cents on the dollar. So these programs now have a 50% reimbursement rate from the federal government with this waiver, this 1115 waiver that has been. That's again, we're trying to maximize as much funding as we can get from the state and the government, federal government together. So really, it's really important with regards to that. And then finally, looking at the complexities of mental health with our young population, K through 12 age, resources, lessons, trying to reach out with regards to some of what can happen with regards to prescription drugs, the science of drug interaction, harm reduction, and looking at making these a public health initiative. So age-appropriate presentations are being presented for the Illinois State Board of Education research guidelines in accordance with the law that we passed actually in 2023. and talking about the dangers of overdoses and substance use disorder, and some guidelines with regards to that. So, a little bit of a nutshell. I know it's kind of a long update, and I know that we got off to a little bit of a late start. Well, later than 9 o'clock and later than 11 o'clock. But finally, we want to thank and congratulate longtime Aurora resident, somebody I know very well from when I was an alderman. He worked for the city of Chicago, or city of Aurora. Dan Barrero is currently the vice president of the East Aurora School Board. He had worked for the city of Aurora for 35 years, actually beginning back in 1986 as an intern. And he retired from the city of Aurora in 2021 as Chief Community Service Officer. He has been selected by Mayor Irvin to fill the vacant Ward 1 aldermanic seat on the city council until the election of April 2025. So he will step down in his position on the school board and assume the duties of Ward 1 alderman during the special council meeting on Tuesday, August 13th. So congratulations to Dan Barrero. I've known him for a very long time, over 20 years, a wonderful person and a great addition, I think, to the Aurora City Council. Those of you who go to Rivers Edge Park, you're going to notice that there is a renovation plan for it. So the project will include a new backstage, a new entry to the southern edge of the park, a new beverage pavilion, a new VIP section, and new restrooms. The backstage will also include office space, dressing rooms, restrooms, and a dining area and an outside area facing the Fox River. So I remember when we voted on this park, and it seems like just yesterday, and I can't believe that renovations are already being planned, but I can believe it because it was a long time ago, 15, 16 years, almost 20 years ago. And it was, I believe, during the first term of Mayor Weisner. So I would say, yeah, 16 some years ago. So looking at increasing the capacity of the park by about 2,500 people. The current capacity is 7,300 for events, 6,500 for concerts. So certainly right now, the current facilities at Rivers Edge include a trailer, and the backstage is not considered adequate enough to attract bigger acts. So they're certainly looking. So work is planned to start as early as September, right after the end of the River Edge Park season. So Rivers Edge Park is city-owned, but contracted to be run through the Civic Foundation. So it's like a public-private partnership. Again, Chris Kringlemart's going to be in there, getting ready to start in late November. So looking forward to that. And then pretty much just want to give you a word of advice. I've talked about this before. Scams are high. You're going to see it on Facebook. You're going to see text messages coming to your phone. Fraudulent texts are on the rise. With the election season that we're in 2024, phony websites, you name it, they collect credit cards, they take their money, it doesn't go to the campaign. So we all know there's a presidential election going on. We all know that right now is a peak of people, fraudsters, sending texts, emails that look legitimate, and they lead you to fake websites designed to scam people. So whether you are part of the Illinois Republican Party or the Illinois Democratic Party, structures in place so that you can donate to whichever party you want on the Illinois level. And I urge you to go to their legitimate websites. You can talk to legitimate elected individuals in your community from either party, and they can direct you to the legitimate websites in which, if you want to donate to the candidate of your choice. Don't just click on a link on a text that you get. Online forums, if somebody says this is a great site, they might be a bot, they might be somebody scamming you. Don't click on anything from Facebook. Don't click on anything from a text message. Don't click on anything from an email. You don't want these phony sites getting any of your credit card information. I would say too, don't put in your debit card information either, because that's a direct link to your bank account. Don't do that either. Don't give out any information. I mentioned this last time, person I went to high school with got scammed because there was a text that said, did you make this purchase to this really random place? She replied, no. Then they called her, then they got scammed her out of money. The bank will never call you after they send you a verifying text message. Either if you have some concern, go online or call your bank directly. Do not let them call you. So please, please be cautious. And again, I'm going to say this. I've said this, I don't know how many times. Do not click on any links. Do not give your information on any calls. Now, I know people are calling, and there might be legitimate people calling. But right now it's just it's just a situation that's very ripe for spammers to take your money, and that's not right. If you want to give to a political presidential candidate, you can do that. Go through your local channels to find out a secure way in which you can donate. Scam also involves people, help them register to vote. They try to steal people's personal information from identity theft. If you want to register to vote, you can go to officialelections.il.gov website, and you can do it that way. You can register to vote locally as well. Also, some folks have asked me regards to process. There's a political process both on the Republican side and on the Democratic side with regard to nominating presidential nominees for office. So in Illinois, you vote for delegates, not necessarily the person, but delegates to vote for a person. Case in point is you had a Republican primary, you had Nikki Haley, and you had Donald Trump, and then Nikki Haley then announced she was not running anymore. So then her delegates had the choice to vote for a different person, which was Donald Trump. The same thing now happened on the Democratic side when the delegates that were pledged to vote for Joe Biden, Joe Biden's not running anymore, then they are free to vote for another individual because they are delegates. And the Illinois delegation is voting now for Kamala Harris. So it's the same process on both sides. It materialized a little differently on the Democratic side than on the Republican side. But the process is the process. It's legitimate on both sides of the coin. And certainly we'll see what happens next week as the Democratic National Convention comes to Chicago. Now, I know a lot of companies are telling folks to work remotely next week when the Democratic National Convention is in town. So I'm just cautioning individuals, if you're going to go into Chicago, potentially take the train in. I believe traffic might be congested, and there's a lot going on between McCormick Place and the United Center. So just put that on your calendar, put it on your notebook, put it on a sticky pad. That take note that next week Chicago is going to be extremely busy with the Democratic National Convention. The Republican National Convention was held in a different state this year. So, but again, be on the lookout for everything. Scammers are ruthless and they sleep very well because they are laughing all the way to the bank when they get your money. So with that, have a great Monday. It is Monday. I am going to catch up on a bunch of things today since I've been out of town all last week. And if you need anything at all, you can call my office, 608. You can also email me, stephanie.kiffowit@att.net. So because we are a little bit off our normal time frame. I'm sure a lot of people aren't zooming in, but they might catch it on the repeat. So with that, have a great day. Next week, take care, everybody, and be well, be safe, and enjoy the last couple days of summer if you have them, or if your kids are going back to school. Then enjoy a quiet house. Take care.